Shalom and good morning. After putting up that first post, as I had mentioned, sort of entering this space I really don't know anything about hardly, but after receiving over 800 views, I just want to, before I share here, say that was really touching. It actually spans 47 years of friendships, many of you that we've walked with extremely close in sharing seasons of life. And so just to have heard back from so many of you is really, really a blessing. Today I want to touch a little bit about life change, major life changes, not incremental growth, but major life changes and some of the mechanics of that change. God wanted to speak and to call Abraham, and he said, Abraham, I've got some stuff I want to talk to you about. I want to talk about your life and its calling, but I can't talk to you now in the space you're in. Because if I talk to you now in the space you're in, you'll apply it in ways that are limiting and restricted, and it won't have the capacity to grow really where I want to take you. So I want to have that conversation, but I want to have that conversation with you over there. And God calls us at times to go to the over there because it's the next chapter in our life that needs to be written. He may introduce the subject on this plateau, but the discussion is over there. And so I just want to talk to you a little bit about some of the things, the dynamics that can help us and alert us to that. I find when we are new in a new season, a new plateau, in a new era, the yield is incredible. So we'll have lots of revelation, lots of insight, oftentimes meeting new people, new thoughts. It's a very full season. But as we move on through that season, we can come to a time where, in a sense, the percentages cease to yield that amount. In fact, by the time if you get to the end of a plateau, an end of an era of a season of your life that's drying up and God intends you to go to another place, those percentages can go down. In fact, they might even go down to 10%. And what I want to say, it's not necessarily you, it's the soil. The soil that God grew you in to get you to this space is not the soil He needs you to be in to grow you to the next space. So the yield becomes shorter and shorter and shorter. And that prompts you. Things that were revelation before become commonplace and routine. And I'm not talking about the limitations of character. That's a whole different story. I'm talking about God moving us to new spaces in life. So the yield becomes actually quite small. And in that context, we find ourselves wrestling and pushing to try and get on to the next season that we have for our life. In fact, I'm very thankful I'm not in these seasons anymore. But you can actually run into what I would call in those days an anti-anointing, where God starts to prod and to push you into new seasons. Then there's a thing I want to talk about in the next video that's really the burning bush. It's a profound encounter that I think is on the horizon for many of us who've been at this for 30 or 40 plus years, where the summation, like Moses, the summation of everything that Moses had in his shepherd's rod, culminated, and God asked him to throw it down. And as he threw it down, God completely transformed it. But that required that Abraham come to know God in a completely and profoundly different way in context. So in the next video, I want to talk about knowing God in a transformational way, specifically in the context of the new season He's calling you to. Bless you. Look forward to it.